Hey friends, I am back with Live in Local Atlanta. I'm here with my dear friend Julia DeLucca, who is all about confidence. Confidence is key, and especially for women, I feel like we walk this weird line of we want to be confident, but we're scared to come off as cocky. So I'm here with a confidence expert. I'm here with founder of Go Confidence Confidently Services. How are you today, Julie?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Alyssa. I love having this conversation regarding confidence because, like you said, right, we have to kind of have that balance and blend, and we're not sure how to do it. And this is one of my favorite conversations.
I love it. As I get older, I find that I become more confident in myself. I've always been a
Mhm.
little self-conscious about, oh, my hair is too curly or I don't quite fit in or my style of clothes is weird I think just with all the other things women go through, we kind of mouse up and we get scared and
Mhm.
we don't want to take up space or use our voice. So I think it's really incredible that you've taken time out of your life to basically become an expert on how to be confident. So can we talk about that journey?
Well, I will tell you that I am a student as much as anybody else, but I have been around the block for a little bit and have learned a few things. Number one is I am a Tiny Habits coach. And as a Tiny Habits coach, I was certified under the Tiny Habits Academy, founded by Dr. BJ Fogg. He is a behavior design scientist. And one of the things that he talks about is confidence doesn't happen just because it's a feeling. And I already had figured that out in my life. Yes, I am a firstborn. Yes, I'm very outspoken. However, my confidence doesn't come because I have that feeling. Confidence comes because I've practiced. I've done it a couple different times, right? Just like you said, I'm getting older, I'm getting more confident. And that's really what happens, right? The more that we have the evidence that we can do something, then the better we feel and the more that our confidence increases because of that. And I think that that's a little bit of where many of us really don't look inwardly and celebrate, because celebration is one of the most important things we can do to get that knowledge that we are doing the thing and that we're celebrating that we're getting it and we're doing it and we're being. But many of us focus on the wrong thing. We focus on comparison. We look at Johnny over there, look at Susie here, look at what they're doing. I could never. And we compare and despair. And really, comparison is the thief of joy. So I encourage my clients or anyone, and this is work that I do for myself as well, is always look to be a better 1% better every single day, right? That compounding effect helps you. And the more that you pay attention to, oh, look how far I've come, as opposed to, oh, I'm not there yet. I'm not doing it yet. I'm not perfect yet. Then you will find that confidence will increase for yourself in any area of life.
Absolutely. And I think that's, such an incredible mindset to have. And it's crazy, as I've gotten older, especially when I got into my early 20s, I started to understand that it's really those cliche phrases that they hold the most power, and there's a
Mhm.
reason why they've stuck around for 50 plus years. But, I think there's a unique line, especially as minority women, we walk where we want to be confident, but we're scared of
Mhm.
being cocky. And
Yeah.
I think, especially working in media and enjoying consuming media, I get so mad when I see when they depict, especially minority women or even just women
Mhm.
in general who are confident, they just depict them as cocky, as
Mhm.
witchy.
Right. Exactly. Right. We go
And
back
it
to
breaks.
those terms.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it breaks my heart to see that because it's almost like women cannot have it all. So can you talk about really the experience of
Mhm.
what the confidence journey looks like for women? And I know each
Yeah.
woman's journey is different, but can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. And you touched on some very, very key points, and I'm so glad that you brought them up. I will tell you that as a Latina, definitely, there's a lot of stereotypical things that we see out there and we hear. And for me, and even with the work that I do, working with clients now, right? I climbed the corporate ladder, and certainly there were a lot of things that I did. I worked hard, but also I had someone that believed in me. My dad was an incredible mentor and he continued to encourage me, and I had other great mentors. Many of the other women that were my peers, or as I, became an executive or reached the C-suite, and the people women that reported to me mostly, they would say, "Oh my God, you're so confident. How do I get that? I need that. I'm never going to be that confident." And I started to see that there's this difference of understanding of what's possible. And the reason why is because we don't always see what we want to become. So it is very difficult when we see women, right? Or we don't see women. Think about all of the businesses, all of the heads of industry. We haven't until in the last few years seen more women become more prominent. And for us, right, if we're sitting on the sidelines, if we're just starting our journey, wherever that may be, we're seeing that there's not a lot of people that look like me. Or when we do see someone, right, then we immediately attack them. We immediately start to break them down. And there's so few people that actually take the leap to do that, to step out in confidence, right? And yet it's disheartening when you do and you are put down. Like I want to share an example, and I hope it's okay. But I was really from a human interest story, not from a political view, but from a human interest. We have a very highly qualified woman that runs for president. And then we had somebody else, right? And a male and a female. The standard which she had to go through. She could be speaking about, incredibly intelligent stuff, but they would revert back to, well, when do you get angry, or why do you laugh like this? And then you start to criticize a woman's character or some of the things that she does because she falls in the woman category, as opposed to really viewing her as an equal and saying, wow, look at this person, and really celebrating, right? And not to say that there weren't people celebrating the vice president, but I think that that was one of the things that many of us women tend to really need to overcome a lot of times. And I've been there, right? There might be myself and somebody else. And then, yes, as a woman, I'm supposed to show up on time, look nice, have the high heels, my makeup on. And, obviously I can't leave early to take care of home because I need to be at my job. And if I'm having a hard day, I can't cry because I'm emotional. And if I'm not emotional, then I'm too tough and too witchy, right? Like you've said. So we need to, number one, become each other's allies, no matter where someone is, right? And we will have differences with people, even those we love. We will have differences. But if we begin to celebrate the efforts that people are doing, right? And we begin to celebrate, even if it's different from what we do, then that person will feel more at peace, will feel encouraged to continue to do what they're doing. And what they are doing then, in essence, is creating an example of what's possible for others. Many of us women did not see a lot of VIPs, a lot of heads of industry, a lot of presidents, a lot of women in power. So the more that we see them, the women who even taking charge and speaking up for yourself at the grocery store will come much easier because we've seen others, and we've seen others not be judged for stepping out and being confident.
You said something that came to my attention interestingly, and that is women becoming allies. And there is a unique topic that I find comes with women becoming allies that
Mhm.
oftentimes gets met with, I don't want to say an ugly truth, but I think there are so many women who are conditioned, especially older women who are conditioned to this, brush elbows, we got to fight with each other.
Yeah.
How do you help women, especially when there's a generational gap and there
Mhm.
are younger women in the workforce and then older women in the workforce, and they want to build a gap, but
Mhm.
there's all this toxic behavior built up? How do
Yeah.
you help women overcome this to build community?
Thank you so much for asking about this. I often see, and by the way, again, having been someone that climbed the corporate ladder, I see this. There is something that is referred to as tall poppy syndrome, right? And this is exactly what you're talking about. Tall poppy syndrome is when the poppies, you have one that's peaking above the rest, then typically the other poppies kind of bring her down and suck the life out of her, and then there's no tall poppy. Everybody has to stay in at the same level. This is one of the things that if we are looking at a perspective of if she has that, there is less for me, we will always be in competition. If we begin, and this is one of the things that I really work on with my clients, is looking at what are some of the sabotaging thoughts that we have? What are the things that you're telling yourself? If we begin to say, hey, good for her, and that doesn't mean that it will be less for me, if we begin to really live in that, there's not going to be the need, right, to kind of choke the life or to criticize or to, say, oh, look at her, that, look and not encourage each other. And that lessens the competition. The reality is that the only person that we really compete with is with ourselves. And we're not taught that in this society. We're taught that we need to compete with the girl down the street. We need to compete with a guy. We need to compete with the world. And competition is great. And by the way, I love competition. And you're not going to find someone that is not as competitive as me. I am competitive. But what I have learned is that just because someone has a level of success or is doing what I want, I am not competing with them because they will never be like me. And there are things that that person doesn't do like me that is going to resonate with the people around me, the people that need me. And I am not going to be everybody's cup of tea. So it's really important to one, notice what you're thinking, notice that maybe the competition that you're creating in your brain is with the others as opposed to with yourself. Now, the other side of the coin, and this is another thing that we talk about, is the queen bee syndrome. What does that mean? Well, the queen bee is the person that reaches a certain level and they're like, look at me, and keeps others from being there. And that also stems from someone being insecure. If you looked at my career in my 30s, I was a little queen bee there because I thought, oh my gosh, I am a supervisor. I'm the boss. And all these other people, no, I don't want them to do that. Or no, you stay there. The reality is that, again, is that mentality. People are not in competition. And one of the things that I had to realize right away is that if I have individuals that report to me or are working with me, my ability to be able to pour into them and have them replace me, right? Replace me allows me to then move to the next level. It's not a competition. It's just empowering each other and viewing that. And for this reason, I think that it's important for women to find mentors, to find like minded individuals, and find the communities in which you're being built up as opposed to being torn down, as opposed to really being kept low.
And I think what you're saying is really impactful, and it's great feeling like I'm in a position where I'm right on the verge of creating a unique community
Yeah.
because I'm Latina, but I'm also biracial.
Hmm.
And I've often gone through the professional workforce feeling like I don't belong in any group, or, I'm not Latina enough, or I'm not passing enough. And I've in recent months really connected with people on my personal experience, and have learned to, even without meeting these people, kind of create my own path and create my own community. And I've
Hmm.
had unique people come to me, and I've been able to guide them and help with sharing my experience. And I think
Hmm.
this is something that, I'm glad it happens now. It's happening now, but it's sad to think about. There are so many women who, in terms of seniority, are ahead of me who've
Hmm.
had to walk a very difficult path to find success on so many levels. One, they're a woman. Two, they might have been mixed or biracial, Latina. So it's been very unique learning and hearing so many different stories. And I've
Mhm.
actually really found a great deal of comfort and joy in actually reconnecting with people. And I feel like this was my pandemic or COVID curse, was I forgot how to socialize almost, which is crazy because I talk for a living, but I forgot those subtle nuances of, "Hey,
Mhm.
how are you doing? I genuinely wanna check in with you and see how you're doing," because it is so important to uplift people, because life is not stagnant and we're meant to move forward and move on. And you don't want to necessarily leave somewhere and there's a void. And
Mhm.
you're right, everybody has their own unique gift they bring to the table, and just because I were to move into your position doesn't mean I'm going to do it the exact way
Yeah.
you do it. I'm going to do it my way. The job still gets done, but it has my own unique
Mhm.
Alyssa flair to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really it brings me to my next question, which is, can you talk about, something personally or clients you've personally worked with where you've seen such a huge growth change or story that you're proud to share?
Again, I think that there's so many different women and individuals that I can celebrate. There's probably not enough time. I will say the biggest source of joy for me is the person that begins to see their worth, the person that begins to know that, hey, my consistent effort, right? In whether I feel I belong or not. And I want to address that because many people, and I talk about this on my TEDx, we don't always feel like we belong. We don't always feel that. But what we can see for ourselves is that if we begin to make small, subtle shifts and then notice, right, when we're telling ourselves the negative things, oh, there I go again, telling myself I'm not enough, or there I go myself telling I don't belong. Those are the times that we can then say, "Oh, I'm noticing that. Well, how can I do it better? How can I show up differently?" The other piece of the coin too is that when we are doing this type of thing, right? And this is something that one particular client and especially is coming to mind. She really struggled with feeling like she wasn't worth much. She really struggled with feeling like who was she to be the person running, this service for other people? Who was going to hire her? She wasn't enough. But what we really started to work on is how about we look at the things that make you you? What are the things that then are very individual to you? And then being okay with having people say, no, you're not for me. And rejection is something that is so difficult to take, but rejection is necessary because if we're rejected by one person, then that means that there is room in our life for the person who does need us, for the person that will appreciate us to come in. And in this world, again, we live in a society in which is me, me, me. But like you said, a lot of us are learning to go back out into the world. And as we're putting ourselves out into the world, let's not say, like, oh, I'm going to be nervous when I go to that networking event, or I don't know if I could talk to people. I don't know how to talk to people, right? But what if you go and you say, I'm going to go to this networking event and I'm going to have a goal of making the three people that I'm going to talk to feel good about themselves, right? Then you're taking the light off of you. You're not there like with the pressure, like, I gotta say and show up and be perfect. Now you're going in with a different view, right? Oh, how can feel Alyssa feel good about herself? Oh, Alyssa, tell me about your projects. Let's celebrate them. Oh my God, you have a TV show, or you're doing this and you volunteer. Wow, right? And if I really truly show up authentically, and we use that word oh so much in this world, but really that's the word, right? Authentic. If we show up with a real effort and say, oh, good for you, then guess what? It's going to happen. Reciprocity. We're going to leave and people are going to say, oh, thank you. What about you? And, and we begin to see that collaboration, but it really is about not making it about ourselves. When we feel we don't belong, we are cheating others who do need us and want us of our presence, but we are making it about ourselves. A lot of times we think we walk into a room and they were talking about us. They weren't. So our false beliefs have to be something that we shift. Pay attention to what you're thinking. Be aware. Notice these times in which you say, people are talking about me, or they don't want me, or they don't like me. And don't make it about you. Make it about what you can do for others, and you will see how things begin to shift for you.
I really love that because that was a huge struggle I went through well into my 20s, and learning to say I'm probably the last thing on somebody's mind, not in the oh I have
Hmm.
no worth, but they're
Yeah.
probably equally self-conscious. They're
Yeah.
equally like, is there something in my teeth, is my hair okay?
Hmm.
So it's, I've learned, I had to learn, what everybody is the same in the sense that we all have something on our mind
Hmm.
when it comes to presenting to the world. Now, you actually said
Hmm.
something that is a topic that really is special to my heart, and that is self worth. And I've always
Mm.
struggled with, what is my self worth? What is my why? How do I know my value? Can you share a little bit about how you help people discover
Mhm.
their worth?
Yeah, I think that, again, self-worth is something that, if I were to say I don't deal with that, I would be lying because we all, at one level or another, deal with it. And when I'm working with individuals, really, one of the things that we really need to become aware of is, again, those thoughts and things that sabotage us. And that's one of the first things that I help my clients really be able to discover. What are you saying to yourself? What are the lies? What are the places that you're living? Because you have this broken record going in the background. And by the way, that broken record is not something that we can delete, erase. It's always going to be running in the background. That's part of what we created to protect ourselves in whatever level, right? If you're a people pleaser, if you're someone that's very controlling, if you're the martyr, the victim, all of these things is not because you're either good or bad or ugly, right? It's just the behavior that you created to really be able to support yourself, right? Now, when you become aware of what you're thinking, what you're doing, what you're saying to yourself, and then you kind of disarm it because when we, for instance, I'll give you the example. I'm like, oh my God, Julie, you're so dumb. I can't believe you said that. Right? It's my language, right? I chastise myself, right? I parent myself in a chastising way. I judge myself. When I say that and I want to put myself out. If I just told myself I'm dumb, a loser, dumb, whatever it is, the language that I use, it becomes very difficult to show up. And when you do show up, you kind of feel like an imposter because you already told yourself you're a loser. And then you're showing up pretending that you're not. So, again, when you become aware and when you start to see these patterns of what you believe, and you start to see, oh, that's the record I play on myself, then you can create a new message. You can create a new record. And then that record that was playing, it won't go away. It will become lesser and lesser because the music that you're playing is the music of new thoughts, new ideas, new things that you say to yourself. So a lot of times, um, I will say, "Oh my God, Julie, I can't believe you just did that. You're so much a person that's learning. Good job in trying to learn, right?" So I be and Alyssa, it's not perfect. I am imperfectly like anybody else doing the work. But really what I try to do is notice, and again, you can't go from saying, "Oh my God, you're so dumb," to yourself, right? To all of a sudden saying, "Oh my God, you're a superstar. Look at you, amazing." Tell yourself the things you can believe, right? I am a girl who is working at being a better communicator. I am a woman that is working at doing her best in front of people and showing up like herself rather than like, I'm a superstar when I go networking. No, tell yourself the things that you can believe. And this is what we call ladder thoughts. The big thought is, I'm perfect, I'm amazing, look how great I am. And the bottom thought is, I'm so stupid, I can't believe who I am, right? Begin to go up the rungs of the ladder and create these new tapes for yourself. And every time you catch yourself telling yourself something good, say, oh my God, I'm so good. I said something good to myself and I did not go to that pattern. That's going to help you create those new patterns and be able to really build that self awareness, build your self love, and ultimately be able to take steps forward. Um, our our world doesn't change because of what we have. It changes because what we choose to do for ourselves. The other place that I want you to make sure you pay attention to is that our thoughts and our feelings are neither good nor bad. They're neutral. Things that happen to us are neither good nor bad. They're neutral. And when we begin to see that, it's going to help you be able to get those tapes in place. Like, okay, I didn't do bad. I didn't do good. I showed up. I didn't hit the mark, but I'm going to try again. Then you begin to love yourself more because you're not categorizing in one the good or the bad. You're categorizing as just something that happened and something that you're going to change moving forward if you need to.
I love that. That is so insightful, and this has been such a educational conversation for me. I have to ask, what would you say is kind of one piece of advice you would say to somebody who's really on the journey of trying to find their self-worth, get their confidence up? What would you say is an easy step one or maybe a baby step that somebody can take
Yeah.
to practice this?
I'm so glad you asked for a baby step. I'm a tiny habits coach. I'm always going to tell you to go tiny. Yes, go tiny in everything that you do, and you will see that if you stay consistent, you will find the compounding effect helps you change immensely. However, one big thing that you can do is honestly I love journaling. I know not everybody does, but maybe one of the things that you can do is have a reminder. Find something that you do like about yourself. Find something that you do well. If you don't know, ask people around you, "Hey, what is my quality that you love the most? What is the one thing that you would say is my gift?" And then pay attention when that gift comes out and celebrate yourself like, "Oh, good job, Julie. You were kind. Oh, Julie, wow. You were encouraging." Whatever the gift is, find it, pay attention when you use it, and give yourself props for doing it. And then that's going to grow your confidence and it's going to allow you to grow that gift as well.
I love that so much. Julie, how can people stay in touch with you, find out more about what you do? What's all the scoop there?
Okay, so the best way to find me is my website, which is goconfidentlycoaching.com. I am Julie DeLucca Collins on all of the social media platforms. If you go to any other platforms and you're looking for any resources on confidence or you have a question, feel free to send me a message, but also you can DM me the word confidence and I will send you my confidence guide. And definitely something that I love sharing with people because I know that this is what I use in my life. This is what I use with my clients and how it can make an impact in the lives of those who are moving along and having this as a tool.
I love that so much. Oh my God, excuse me. Alyssa, how could you do that? I'm kidding.
You're good. You're good, girl.
Look, it happens. It happens. Part of life.
That's right. Right.
Anyways, I'm so glad you were able to join me today. This is Live and Local Atlanta, and you can always stay up to date with me by following me across all socials at Alyssa D on air. And of course, keep it locked in. We've got so much more amazing content coming. Download the free Odyssey app today. That's AUDACY inside the App Store. And once it's downloaded, favorite Star 94 Atlanta so you get notified of exclusive conversations just like this one with my friend Julie. And I'll see you guys next time.